Hi, nice to meet you.
Hello everyone, welcome to our special bonus episode of Biz Focus. I'm your host today, Zhu. And in this episode, we've invited our reporters who just finished covering the latest Biz Focus story to share their insights with us. And we'll dive deep into the AI development and also why is Chinese company Unitree Robotics recently so popular, and also discuss those key issues that need attention. So our guests today are reporters Wang Tianyu and Yunqi. Could you guys briefly introduce yourselves? Welcome.
All right, I'll go first. And my name is Tianyu, and I'm a business reporter. And recently, I've been covering a lot of the AI, and also I'm very into the new energy vehicle stuff.
So I'm Yunqi from the radio department. I haven't had the chance to cover or report on any robot or tech-related topics, but I'm personally very interested in robotics because it's been a huge topic, and you have seen a lot of achievements in China. And I'm very curious to, if I can get robot home and practice on elder care for the future.
You're too young to say that.
Yeah. But I mean, like there's been these satirical comments on these humanoids are not being smart enough, and they are supposed to be designed for taking care of. One of the purposes they can take care of older people at home. But there are some comments online, people joking around saying like they don't seem smart enough at this moment, so you can buy one and practice on these robots to rehearse future taking care of your parents sometime in the future.
Yeah, like you are taking care of the robots.
The robots,
yes.
rather than the robots taking care of the elders at home. But I know these are just satirical comments. They are making jokes, and actually these humanoids, they are making progress much faster than a lot of us have anticipated. Yeah, and I have
true.
Yeah, so I'm very curious to hear about Tianyu's experience in covering and how was his interaction with these robots firsthand.
Yeah, speaking of whether it's smart enough, I saw you visited Chinese very popular AI company Unitree Robotics recently in Hangzhou, right?
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Well, basically, as you guys may know, that in this year's Spring Festival Gala,
Right.
Yeah.
The robotics are, the dancing robotics went viral suddenly, and the company behind it is called Unitree Robotics. It's basically, I wouldn't call it a startup because it's not a startup anymore, because the market the value of it is over $1 billion. So it basically right now it's a unicorn, but it only has like 500 people. So it's not that large company, but
So these are all IT personnel and high-tech personnel, research, R&D. Right?
Of course. So even though I visited the headquarters of it, I didn't really have the chance to look into its office or the manufacturing production line, because they are very, it's their secret.
Yeah, sensitive.
Right.
So basically, I can only check out the products that we
Finished
have.
ones.
Finished one we have already seen, or we can place orders on the internet platforms. So basically, like the one that are dancing in the stage, like it's called G1. Basically, maybe it's called.
That's the model's name, G1.
G1, but probably it's not the one that is dancing on the stage. Maybe it's the smaller one that I interact with.
Slightly
Did you
different
dance with them, or?
No. I forgot its name. It should be called G1. So basically, there are two models of the humanoid robots, but they just get into the humanoid robots just 1.5 years. So
That's really impressive.
Yes,
Yes,
and
it's very
that's my
impressive.
question too, because they also was on the stage of China's Spring Festival Gala in 2024, right? So what's the upgrade or progress? Why is it like become popular now but not then?
Well, I mean, you mean the humanoid robots,
Yes.
or the
and also the robotic
robotic dogs.
Yes, those little dogs.
I think you are mentioning about the robotic dogs, because this is the first time that they take their humanoid robots to the Spring Festival Gala. But in 2021, I think, is the year of the ox. They took their robotic dogs on the stage.
Already?
Oh.
Yes. So basically, before they get into the humanoid robots, they have been developed they call it quadruped robots or quadruped robotics. Sorry, so basically robot dogs.
Yeah, and what's the different scenarios of these, like those robotic dogs versus those humanoid robots?
Is it easier to develop a robot dog than a person, a
I
human?
I think so, because the company was founded in 2016. So after that, they have been the only products they have are the quadruped dogs.
Robot dogs, and then moved on to humanoids.
Yeah, so basically the robot dogs on one end they can be. You're asking about the scenarios, right? So on one end is for industry use. Basically, you can use it to in the factory, like you need security checks. So instead of letting humans to do it, you can just let the dogs to do it because it's safer. And also on the other end, you can guess, is for entertainment use.
Oh, so during your visit this time, did you go there for like entertainment to play with them, or what are some new findings there?
This is very interesting because it's through my whole life, I've always been scared of real dogs.
Oh, really? What about these fake dogs?
So that's a relief for you.
Yeah, this might be the only chance that I can play with a
A
dog.
dog, yeah.
So I can kick it. And
what's its reaction after you kick it?
After I kick it, so it falls down. All the foot are up.
Oh, it quickly bounce back, right?
It quickly bounce back, so it can get up in just 1 second by itself. So it's pretty impressive, and I said sorry to it.
So why is it so popular this year? What are some new technologies behind these dogs and humanoid robots?
You mean why the company is so
yes,
popular?
Unitree.
I think it's because of the Spring Festival Gala. Right?
Yeah, I think it's because
just the gala?
Northeastern style, that spinning that thing dances.
Oh yeah, it also become like very famous emojis online too.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, if you ask me, I would just say it's because of the Spring Festival Gala. Because before the Spring Festival Gala, you may heard of the company's name, but you have no clue about what the company is, who the founder is. Yeah. But right now, the founder Wang Tianyu is as popular as the company is right now.
But from time to time, when I scroll down the videos on Douyin, I would occasionally walk into these videos, these funny videos of humanoid robots falling off when they're just having a casual walk, and then they fall off. And then that's where I saw those comments of people making fun of these humanoids not being smart enough.
Yes, true.
Yes,
And also
I agree with that.
Speaking of these humanoid robots, there's also a term called embodied intelligence that's quite popular recently. So how do you guys understand such a term? For like me, I went to the elderly care exhibition last year, and I saw some machines or robots helping those paralyzed people to stand up. But I don't know whether this is also like one function or equipment of those embodied intelligence. What are your guys' insights?
I think the term is the futuristic term because, like Yunqi said, it's not smart enough. I totally agree with that.
Could you give us an example when you found like the dog or the robot not smart enough?
Not smart enough means like right now the humanoid robots, the thing is, it cannot, like, for example, we have the ChatGPT, we have the DeepSeek, so basically it's generative AI. Like you give him an order, and then it can give you feedback. But for the embodied, what's the term again?
Intelligence.
Embodied
intelligence.
Embodied intelligence. So after it receives the orders, so it has to transform it to the real behaviors. Then it can go like take care of the elders, or it can grab the staff. So right now they are solving the problem that never let the robots fall down. But after that, how are you gonna make it like a real human for us? We can do whatever we want, or we can do whatever our boss wants. So basically, we take the orders and we know what we're gonna do.
To completely replace human labor.
Yeah.
Right, but right now, the robots all over the world, they don't have the ability to to receive the order and then transform into its real behavior.
So that's more like a mind, body, and machines connection, right? You need to strengthen.
Yeah, I think that's how I see this term as well, embodied intelligence, right? Because so far, in this field of robotic development, I think the most impressive progress we have seen is from the generative AI models, ChatGPT, DeepSeek. So they really feel like they can think like a human. Yeah. But in terms of robotics, humanoids, when it comes to physical movements, I think it involves so many, like for a human, a flesh, bone and flesh. These human movements really involve a lot of muscles, maybe tens of thousands of muscles and bones and working together. So, and we actually do this so naturally without even realizing how difficult and complex it is.
I mean, in the current stage, they are trying to solve this kind of problem, like how do you make very smoothly.
Right.
Yeah.
But we also have our mind. Our body moves is because of the order from our mind.
Right.
So right now, currently, unluckily, the robots do not have those kind of minds.
Might be extremely difficult to replicate this almost unconscious movement for humans and to replicate this process on a robot. Because just this morning on the way to here to record this episode, I actually came across a video on WeChat, and that was an influencer. He also rented G1, the same prototype that Tianyu experienced. Yeah. And he rented this model just to have a life, live a day in the same room with this robot. And this robot was able to hold an egg.
Oh,
but then
just an egg?
But after a few seconds, probably it's difficult to balance his hand, and then the egg just slid off and fell on the floor.
Yeah, because he doesn't know.
Yeah. And also the owner, that influencer, tried telling the robot, Unitree G1, to pour milk into the cup. That's quite advanced. Instructions for humanoids.
So far, it's just
to understand. But they can walk. Later, the influencer took that robot out for a walk, for a date with a humanoid. There was a lot of passerbys. They got attracted because they had never seen a human walking with a robot before.
It's easy for them to just walk or
Yes.
run.
Walking is,
but it's hard for them to know where to walk.
Yes, maybe that's why most of the robots in China currently are actually for industrial use, because they can do those repetitive works over and over again. And China actually accounts for about half of the world's annual industrial robot installation. So, and that's my question for you too, Tianyu. Have you talked to those company insiders about their progress? When can they be more advanced or listen to our guidance more efficiently in the future? Is it in a near future or several years or decades?
Yeah. Well, it really depends, because even 1 year ago, did you guys anticipate that there's going to be a thing called DeepSeek? But right now, a lot of things changed.
Yeah, true.
So it really depends, because currently, I think they didn't even put the minds into the dogs yet. Not to say the robots, because a fun fact is, on the rooftop of the 4-story building of the Unitree's headquarters, there are a couple of robotic dogs that always walking, running,
patrolling,
climbing. They're testing 24/7
So what are
on
they
the rooftop.
exactly doing?
like guard dogs.
Just testing. Just let them walk themselves. There's no human beings on the rooftop.
To see if there's any malfunction, any error. Right.
I don't know much about it, but I just saw there are a couple of robotic dogs on the rooftop that moving by themselves, climbing by themselves 24/7, no matter it's raining, snowing, whatever.
They must be quite lonely.
So I think
there.
I think if you ask me, I think whenever we see the robotic dogs have the smarter minds, then we can expect that the humanoid robots can have the
to put
minds
it
too.
literally in our daily life use.
Yeah, I think for the next breakthrough to bring the intelligence of robots to the next level, that's something probably difficult to predict, anticipate, because like technology development, they don't go like with a smooth line.
Yeah.
It's like exponential growth.
I agree with that.
Yeah, once they have figured out.
Yeah, whenever the day one's coming,
Right, day
and then
one. or
it's
day
going to be
zero.
very fast.
Yeah, like just like
Skyrocketing
yeah,
instantly.
the same that we didn't expect the invention of DeepSeek to reach the performance of the top tier AI models, but with a far lower cost.
Yes.
Nobody saw that coming, especially coming from a Chinese company.
Yes.
And so I think that's going to be the same for in the robot world. So maybe one of the companies, they have identified and figured out a way to maybe bypass one technical issue, and then just somehow these robots are serving us desserts right now. I don't know.
Yes, true. And apart from these Chinese companies, Yunqi, you were covered the like China versus U.S. high-tech sector, right? What are your observations about what's the current status of China's AI development in the world?
Yeah, I think that's something very interesting. I think particularly following the invention, the invention of China's chat robot or chatbot, DeepSeek, there's really a lot of global attention on Chinese tech startups, tech companies, and one of the results following the invention of DeepSeek is that there's a lot of global investors. They suddenly have an interest in the Chinese stock market.
Yeah.
Thanks to these high-tech startups,
Tech
right?
companies, tech startups.
Yeah, for example, the global investment banks like Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, they have raised the rating for China's stock market. But more importantly, there are a lot of individual private investors.
Yeah.
They're also opening an account on they call it the Greater China region, which includes Chinese mainland and as well as the
I think for
Hong
them,
Kong stock market.
they noticed this trend even way earlier than we
Yes,
did.
the rapid development of these high-tech startups really boosted their confidence in investing in the Chinese market.
They smelled it way
smell
earlier than us.
Much quicker than us, ordinary
they
people.
smell the chance to make money. And one of the global investors, the group of them, is from South Korea. The South Korean investors, they really have a huge interest in investing in Chinese stock at the moment. Because it's funny, last year, the biggest trend among South Koreans was probably going to Shanghai after the
Yes,
so
now
basically
it's
the-
switching from those like
they're-
entertainment
There are
to
people,
high-tech sector.
coming,
And now it's
their money is coming.
Yes.
It's kind of weird saying that one, but I think it's true. It is true to some extent. Yeah, the money last year it was the people. This year is the money. You can put it that way.
Yeah.
And so there's these statistics from a Korea Securities Depository that just last month in February, South Korean investors trading in Greater China stocks had soared almost 200%.
Wow.
In February.
In February compared to the previous month.
Yeah, so basically after DeepSeek was
Yeah,
out,
because
after-
at the
Yes.
beginning, so around the time for this year's Chinese Lunar New Year, that's where we saw DeepSeek
And also the
coming out.
Unitree
And
Robotics.
Yeah, Unitree as
and,
well.
and the
Yes.
DeepSeek is headquartered in Hangzhou too.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
also my
yeah.
question too. Why is the so-called little six dragons
It's little
are
dragons.
all from Hangzhou, and why did Hangzhou give birth to these unicorn high-tech startups? What are your findings when you were there?
Wow, that's a very large question. I can speak of that for a whole day.
Yeah, you
Hangzhou.
summarize it.
You know,
The
from
fan of Hangzhou.
Hangzhou,
yeah.
such a beautiful.
From a
city.
very easy point, maybe not the most important point, is the city is very beautiful. It's very good for living. So
Yes, so it
There's-
attracted many talented people.
that
there,
naturally attract a lot
There's a
of
saying in
people.
China that
Yes.
they compare Hangzhou with heaven.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
paradise.
yes. So first of all, it has great nature,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, I think the government have put a lot of efforts to attract talents.
Incentives, right?
In-
For example?
yeah, for example, like incentives.
Right, financial incentives.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
example, like various range of the subsidies for example, for talent,
They must have many,
housing
like,
subsidies, rental subsidies,
and
different
incubation
types of
platforms too, right?
incubation platforms. And if you're and basically if you are doing a startup there, and you get the first fund from the market, and then it will give you some how to say like cash back, something like that.
Yes.
Well, that's for sure, because dreams aside, like for Zhu and I, but Tianyu is a local in Beijing, but for people like us coming to a new city to make a living, to actually live there, might be the first concern.
Yeah, if you go to Hangzhou and you seek for a job, you don't have a job yet, but they can provide you 7 days of a room for free.
Wow.
Yeah, that's actually one thing.
What's the
I read about
qualification
as
for
well.
applying these rooms?
I don't think there's any qualification for that. Basically, if you just want to get a job in Hangzhou and you say, oh, hey, I'm coming, and then you can apply for
Wow, they're
that
so
room.
welcoming.
Yeah, it's basically helping people, make it easier for
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
coming from outside the city to find a job here.
Yeah, the
Yes.
thing is you have to know that you're gonna apply for this subsidy, or apply for that free room, or apply for those kind of reimbursements, loans for your companies. So a lot of stuff. So maybe we don't know how to do it, but the Hangzhou government will definitely help you to apply for different kinds of subsidies or kind of reimbursements for your startups. So I think that's why the government is very, very professional. It's not leading the market; it's helping the market. It's
Very
like,
supportive.
yeah, it's very supported, but the government will never lead will never, it will just sit
They
in the
need
passenger seat instead of grabbing the wheel.
Yes, true. And I found a similar case in Shenzhen too, because I visited there to do some reports on high techs. They have many like incubation programs and also those platforms that can combine those research institutions and those high tech startups, those personnels, so that those like people who are still studying in maybe universities, they can join their programs to invent those products together, and once they put into the market, they will share all the the products, how to invent them, and also all the knowledge, the marketing strategies together.
Yeah, same case for
quite a
Hangzhou.
great environment. And Yunqi, you have been to other places in China to do some high tech reports too, right? What are some of like other findings, maybe apart from these big cities?
So far, my knowledge has been limited. I've personally visited other regions for pleasure, but in terms of job fairs, career, I think my knowledge is also limited in these big cities. But it's funny that you brought up Shenzhen. I think Shenzhen, they also have a similar program to this free housing for people coming into a new city. Because when you
They're competing.
because when you go
they are
look
competing.
for a job in a completely new environment, there's always the risk. What if you don't find a job, and then you actually have to spend a lot of money you need to find a place to live,
Yes.
to spend the night, and then you get nothing.
Yeah.
So Hangzhou, both Hangzhou and Shenzhen, and perhaps some other Chinese cities, they have also rolled out this program to provide free housing, maybe for a week or so. And it's funny that nowadays a lot of people heard about that Hangzhou has this program. Actually, it was from 2023 in December. That's when Hangzhou rolled out this program, but actually, this program in Shenzhen has been there long before Hangzhou rolled out, and actually Shenzhen has been implementing this program for almost 12 years.
Oh.
And but Hangzhou, they are promoting this program in a kind of more social media sense. They have a slogan that you get off the train, you get an interview, and after interview you will have free housing. And
That's why Tianyu came there.
this kind of slogan, it spreads faster. It's more catchy. It's easier to understand. But it's funny that this year, after we have seen DeepSeek and also Unitree, they're both companies from Hangzhou, and a lot more other cities, especially maybe Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, these traditionally more cities more famous for tech, they're feeling the pressure. And in February this year, Shenzhen, they announced that they will extend the free housing from a week to 15 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's
to
getting
compete.
longer
To
and
compete
longer.
with Hangzhou as well.
Yeah, and also I noticed some cities are using some applying those innovative measures to develop its high-tech sector. For example, like Ne 2 went viral recently, right? Not only in China but also in the world. And Wuhan is inventing the so-called lotus material as the raw material to build a physical Ne.
And it's funny that because lotus in the Chinese culture has always been symbolized for tenacity, nirvana, and we have that saying to that 藕断丝连, right? When the lotus root is
Even they are apart,
snapped,
they are still kind of connected.
yeah, the fiber still connect when maybe your relationship has ended. Then there's still some a hint of connection exists, and these are some like old wisdom, and no one, and also that scene, that recreation of the body from the Ne movie, it's mythology.
Yeah.
No one ever expected.
So from the fairy tale to the real world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can actually use lotus root to really recreate actual human flesh.
Oh, and what's the connection between these lotus root and high-tech products?
Yeah, so in this case, it's not really recreating the whole body, but rather to use the fiber and from lotus root for recreating human bones.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because based on like we Chinese, it's easier to understand that lotus root actually have some mechanical strength with the fiber, the strands from there, and also lotus roots, they have these interconnected pores. So these it's easier to create scaffolds when your bone is fractured, broken, then it helps promote cell growth and the nutrition, the transport. And by the way, this is research from the Wuhan Polytech University, Dr. Jiang Xueyu.
Wow, so they do have these scientific methods behind those Ne flesh.
Right, they actually started researching into lotus roots back in 2015. And then about 2 years ago, in 2022, then they kind of redirected their direction to biomedicine. And then that's where they identified lotus root as a very good potential material for helping people with bone problems. Like apart from its mechanical strength and its interconnected pores, it's also very biocompatible because it's a natural material that exists in the nature. Yeah. And that makes it easier for the human body to just consume. See, if after your bone is recovered, traditionally you might use ceramics or metal to implant into your body to support your bone recovery. And after that, you actually need a surgery to remove that part because it's metal, ceramics. Your body is not going to be able to consume that material. But if you use, now potentially it's not research finding that's been launched to the market yet. Now it's still in the lab. But if it's real, if it actually comes true, then using lotus root as this material to support your bone growth, after implementing that structure, and they use 3D printing to scan the part, your bone fracture or the part that's missing the bone, and then to transform lotus root into that exact same structure for your body. And after your bone recovered, your body will actually naturally just consume those lotus root, and you don't need a second surgery to remove that part from your body. So there's a lot of upsides from this lotus root in terms of biomedicine. And it's funny that China produced roughly 80% of the lotus roots around the world. Yeah. Which makes sense.
Yeah, because and Wuhan is very rich in that.
Yeah.
Yes, a huge market.
My family loves making lotus root, and I know a lot of other families like it too. And it's true that Wuhan is home to a lot of lotus roots. And so that creates a lot of potential once this research finding is actually launched to the market, becomes something that's more practical, pragmatic, then Wuhan actually has a lot of potential to see a lot of biomedicine or environmental friendly material startups taking place, forming in Wuhan. And that's one other area in outside Shenzhen, outside Hangzhou, and also that's a very niche industry compared to generative AI and robots.
Yeah.
Yes, true. And these materials, before they are applied on humans, maybe they can apply it on like humanoid robots for a test before, right? And apart from all these advantages, I've also been wondering what are some impacts that you think the AI development is really affecting with ordinary people, and maybe also like many people are concerned about many issues like the deep fake or data leak or other problems. What are your guys' observations?
Yeah, like we are concerned that those humanoids or robots are going to
right?
attack you.
Currently, no.
No.
It's still far from that.
Because you can put them down
But
with
if
one
they
hand.
run fast enough and they lose control, would they be an issue?
Yeah, that's always a topic in the sci-fi movies.
Yes.
Well,
Human
I mean,
And also, I looked some data. It says that like some robots are actually killing a number of people. Yes, those are real things. And once they like lose out of control. But I don't know if you were talk to those company insiders, would that be an issue or?
I think I still it's still far away from that because currently
They don't look threatening enough.
It doesn't look threatening. But if you just cut the power, it will just lie down.
Yeah, that would be good
So
to
it has
know.
no use.
Always a safety button.
So if we concern about that, what about the cars? If the car is losing control, it will hit you. So we have a lot of things to concern if we concern of the humanoid robots. So, but I think as the technology is developing, the regulations will definitely follow up. So a lot of people are vowing to see more
AI regulations.
laws and regulations on AI. So I think there's no much that I'll be worry about.
Yeah, I think in terms of robotics, it is true that like earlier we were talking about in the field of generative AI. So these AI models, they really do feel like they can think like a human. But for robots, so far they kind of like a toddler, a human baby. So
Yeah. We're still waiting for them to grow.
Yeah, when I visit the company and I try to interact with the G1, with the robot, I have a control pad on my hands.
Oh.
And there's an instruction on the control pad and telling you, it's like playing a video game. You have a controller and you try to get a new video game and you start to learn from the instruction how to make it jump, how to make it move. So basically now you are controlling the robots. So it will definitely not do any crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think so far most of the concern for these rapid exponential technological achievements, I think most of the concern are still in this realm of generative AI.
Generative AI.
Yeah. So in terms of misinformation.
Yes. Many of those apps are actually like they just grab some information online, and even they are creating some stuff that may not really existing. Like many young people are now using like DeepSeek or many other AI apps for fortune telling. And I've tested it once too, actually, and I found those facts are kind of weird. And then I came up with a follow-up question, like, how did you come out these answers for me? And then he says like, oh, based on the information you provided for me, I just make up an imaginary character, and it seems like that's related to you, but maybe that's not that scientific enough. That's just for like emotional comforting for many people, and also many similar cases are like these, right?
Yeah.
I think that there are two aspects of this question. First is we're talking about the large language model, and the generative AI is based on the large language model, and the large language model is based on tons of data. So first of all, the quality of the data.
Yeah,
It's
make
very
sure the
crucial.
data is accurate.
Yes.
So
non-biased.
So this is the first aspect of the question, and the other thing is, whenever you get the data, and the way of how the the generative AI app think about how to give you the answers. That's the second aspect of the question.
Yes.
Yeah, and
That's
a lot.
why.
So, generative AI models, these large language models, now they seem very powerful. So it's very easy for people to forget that the answers you get from these AIs, they might be wrong. They
yeah.
may not be
Yes.
100% factual.
Even very simple question.
Yeah, and
Yes.
there have been plenty examples. I think I read last year there was a mother in Florida, and she was suing a tech company because she believed that AI chatbot had pushed her 14-year-old son for suicide.
Oh.
Yeah, and then 2 years ago in 2023, there was an attorney with 30 years experience, 30 years of experience attorney. And in the documents that he submitted to the court, which was assisted from the ChatGPT, and actually the answer contained a lot of fabricated cases. And
So those are fake cases, right?
fake cases, fabricated cases that did not exist. But that attorney with 30 years experience, he probably had very high level of trust
Yes.
in these
It must have
technology
helped
products.
him win many law cases.
Yeah, and he just submitted those as his argument to the judge. And later, he admitted that he didn't fact check those answers from ChatGPT.
You're gonna do the fact check, of course, because I use the ChatGPT and DeepSeek very frequently, and even right now, because we are doing the business news, and sometimes I ask the ChatGPT to do some of the currency exchange for me,
Right.
and
Yeah,
it
not
makes
always correct.
mistakes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
in the very early stage of the ChatGPT, if you ask him 0.11, like 0.11 and 0.9, which one is bigger? And it makes mistakes.
Oh, that's quite shocking.
I probably will trust an
Because it might think 11 is bigger than 9.
right.
So it gives the answer is 0.11 is bigger than 0.9.
It's the stereotype that like Westerners are not so good in math. Maybe
Yeah,
you need to trust
you need to check more often.
you need to trust the model from China developed by Chinese. Because stereotypically Chinese know math.
Good at
better.
math.
No racism, no racism.
Yeah, but it's just a joke, you know. You
Right.
always
Yes.
fact check. Don't trust these answers from chatbots 100%.
Yeah.
And one thing that Tianyu brought up earlier was 100% correct. Because these large language models, they are trained on these existing data and web page information,
Yeah.
and there's no guarantee
That those data are 100%
are 100% correct.
Yes.
And so that's where you need to make sure the training data is complete, non-biased, and doesn't contain any error. And there are arguments these days that you need more regulatory measures, framework to make sure to eliminate these errors from chatbots and to incorporate human review and feedback loops to make sure and catch those those incorrect information. And that's been one of the topics during the 2 sessions that just finished in China. And there's a lot of there were a couple of deputies and advisors that they have brought up this issue to put mandatory tag and labels on AI content and to establish more legal and regulatory frameworks. Because I think one thing we have established in common is that AI, along with many other technological products, they might be developing faster than we anticipate.
Than we think.
Yes.
And definitely, the regulatory framework will need to catch up with
Yes.
that fast exponential growth along with the technologies.
Yes, to provide a more healthy environment in the future. That's why they're
Yeah,
all calling
exactly.
for more AI
And
regulations.
just one more thing to add, because in Hangzhou there are a lot of startups. So I also see an opportunity, like speaking of the fact check, because right now the large language models are pretty mature. There are a lot of big companies like DeepSeek, ChatGPT, a lot of things. But the startups in Hangzhou, a lot of people are trying to create the small language model. For example,
Small language model.
yeah.
What
For
does
example,
that mean?
for example, if we want to do something like if we are very familiar with the fact check because we are journalists. But right now, currently, if, like you said, the ChatGPT or DeepSeek, their data might not be that accurate. So we may need some tool to help us to do the fact check.
Yes,
So
that's what I heard during the 2 sessions too.
yeah, so if someone can make a small language model that only suitable for doing this kind of fact check, so I think it will have a market, I think.
Yeah, and even many people are doing that outside of just doing apps or doing models too. Like they are really starting to initiate some programs, and they are recruiting people to go in the fields to interview those people to make sure that if those data or those things that they talked about are really 100% accurate. And that needs a lot of investments. That's also a market niche in the future as well.
Yeah, like small language model just means you have a very relatively narrow market. So basically, if I just want to do the fact check in this tool, so I gather the data just for this.
Yes.
So it's small language model. Or if you just want to do some like the sports version of the ChatGPT, like
more specific area.
More specific area. So it only answers, or like even the like NBA version of the ChatGPT.
Even
if
more
you're really into that, it all the data in that small language models are like NBA related.
Right.
So it will have a strong expertise on that. So it will be definitely more accurate, more like faster, and more just more effectively to give you the answers. On that.
To make sure these information are coming from professionals.
Yes.
And human.
Yeah, I think the business opportunities are on these kind of small language models right now.
Yeah, human knowledge needs to catch up with technology, and to make sure we are safe, make sure the next time when Tianyu goes reporting on those robots, he is also safe.
Yes, and these are all the new questions that you can ask them, like how can they invent these small models or those innovative measures in the future. Yeah, so today we will talk about the impact of the AI development and why those high-tech unicorn companies are currently so popular, and also the issues with the AI development. So thank you guys so much for joining us again. That's our guest reporter Wang Tianyu and reporter Yunqi, and I'm your host today, Zhu. So we hope that you enjoyed this podcast and learned a bit more about the existing world of AI and its impact. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover more next time, don't forget to leave us a comment, a real comment.
Definitely.
Yes. Until next time, bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks for having me.